Hi guys. So I just wanted to do a little video about what I've been up to during COVID so far. So I've been in COVID now for 2 months. And I just want to let you guys all know exactly what I've been doing. So let's jump right into it. Just got some slides here for you. So these are just some pictures from one of my last dives before the boats got shut down and I wasn't able to work anymore. I was very lucky there wasn't many tourists around, so it was quite quiet at work. And I was able to get some really great pictures of the marine life and had a chance to experiment with different techniques as well. So these pictures was one of the last days. We had this big swarm of moon jellyfish coming through. So for those of you that don't know, moon jellyfish don't have any stinging cells. So it's very easy for me to get in the middle of that swarm, be literally surrounded by jellyfish. They were bumping into me all over the place, and I was there for about 15 minutes and took probably a few hundred photos. But these are just some of my favorites. And it was just one of those unique experiences which I was very happy to get the opportunity to do. So moving on to the next photo, these again are from one of my last dives. This was a technique of using long exposure under the water. So when I was on the boat on the journey out one day in that last week of work, someone had left a dive magazine just lying behind, so I decided to pick it up, have a read of it. I had nothing better to be doing. And in the magazine was an article on how to do long exposures underwater. So I had a read of it, and then when I got into the water, decided I would try it out. Now this was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be at the middle of the day, just because there's too much light. So I didn't get many great results, but these are two that I'm really happy with. So the one on the left was taken using a panning motion, moving from left to right very slowly with the camera. I also used a flash which went off at the beginning of the 30-second exposure. That lit up the coral and froze the movement in a couple of the fish in the foreground. As you can see, the movement though, movement blur is present in the image where I've been moving it across left to right. You can see that the coral and fish in the background are pretty blurred. This picture on the right was done in a similar way, but instead of panning left to right, I rotated the camera very slowly again for the duration of the 30-second exposure. Again, a flash went off to freeze some of the movement in the center of the image, but as you get closer to the edge of the image, it gets blurrier and blurrier. This is a technique I want to experiment with more, but I didn't get a chance. Obviously, the boats got stopped. So, yeah, if you wanna have a go at any of these techniques, let me know, and I can do a workshop on how to do them. I want to try them out above the water as well, and hopefully I'll get to do that in the next couple of weeks. Okay. So moving on, the next thing I did, me and my partner, just before everything got completely locked down, we decided to go for a hike up a local creek. So this is Spring Creek and Spring Creek Waterfall. So yeah, just a really nice walk. Probably took us about 3 or 4 hours, just basically rock hopping up the creek. Got lots of great pictures. Again, these are just a couple of my favorites. But there's more on my Facebook page, and I'll probably write a blog about Spring Creek at some point soon, so keep your eyes out for that if you want to know a little bit more details about it, and where it is, how to get there, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so one thing I was going to do, I'm a member of the Douglas Photographic Society, and I was planning a workshop on experiments to do, but unfortunately that event got cancelled due to COVID. So I decided to just do some of the experiments at home and make some videos of how to do them. You may have seen these already. I'll put a link to them at the bottom so you can have a look at them. This was the first of the 3 experiments which I did. I'm not going to go into too much detail about how exactly this was created, but the ingredients used was quite simply some milk, some food colouring, a cotton ball, and some soapy water. So just with those 4 ingredients, you can get some really cool patterns and create some really great photos as well. The second of these experiments was this one. So as you can see, there's 3 photos here. These were all taken from the same experiment. So again, I'm not going to go into too much detail. There is a video on this in my blogs and also on YouTube. I'll put a link to them again at the bottom. The ingredients for this, basically water, oil, and food colouring. And they're all just taken at different places or different locations within the experiment. It's all done in a small little fish tank. And the way that you pour the ingredients in together creates different results. So go have a look at that video so you can actually know how to do it. And then the final experiment was essentially painting with light. So this one was done at night time in a dark room, and I was literally just throwing some glow sticks around. And this was the favourite picture of maybe 10 or 20 that I took. Again, this was a long exposure, so 30 seconds, and literally just throwing glow sticks in front of the camera for 30 seconds. And this is the result I got. Again, more details on how to do that in a video. Again, put the link at the bottom for you guys to have a look at. The final thing that I've been playing around with was being stuck at home is a technique called long exposure zoom. So I've written briefly about this in one of my other blogs on long exposure. Again, put a link at the bottom for you guys to have a look at. This picture was just taken in the garden. This is just some trellis that we have standing up against the wall. We've turned it into a living wall at the moment. The video of that is on Facebook. I'll put a link to that so you can see exactly what this is made from. But yeah, just you start zoomed in, and then for the duration of that 30 seconds, slowly zoom back out, and you get that sort of double exposure effect created by the long exposure and the zooming. And now, finally, as the restrictions are starting to be lifted, me and my partner were able to get out again and took a little trip to Katana Wetlands. This is a place about a 45-minute drive from where we live, and it's just a wetland in the middle of sort of a residential area, but this is full of birds. And we spent a good couple of hours that day photographing these bee eaters. They were just kept coming and landing on this dead tree. So lots of pictures, trying to get really good pictures of them taking off and flying. And again, these are just 4 of my favorites. I've got loads of pictures. And I'm not 100% happy with these. They're not quite as sharp as I would like them to be. I think I need to be using a slightly faster shutter speed, and therefore I'm gonna head back there in a couple of days and have another go at doing that. Now, the final thing that I have been doing in these 2 months, and to be honest, the major thing I've been doing in these 2 months has been building up my photography business. You've probably seen all the posts and blogs and endless content I've been putting out there. I've been doing a lot of research into marketing and developing a marketing strategy for my business. The biggest part of this was the launch of my latest exposure book. This is for sale in case you haven't seen it, don't know about it. An ebook is $20 or a hard copy is $50. I put a link at the bottom for you again. You can buy them off my website. And these are just a great resource for you if you're thinking about starting out in photography. I've got some amazing reviews from them. They're all on my website, so go check them out. Yeah, just if you want to learn photography, this is the first step. Knowing and understanding how light works is the most important thing in photography. So if you don't know how light works and how to control it, which is what exposure is, then make sure you get this book. It explains absolutely everything. There's tons of diagrams, tons of example photos, like recommendations of settings, explanations of what each type of settings are and how they work and what exactly they do in the details, what the restrictions of those settings are, and then at the end there's a flow chart which helps you to work out how to choose the right settings to get the best exposure for the environment which you're in and the photograph that you are considering to take. So for example, if you wanted to take a picture of a fast moving car in the middle of the day, you're probably going to want to use a fast shutter speed. You're going to, it's the middle of the day, so you've got plenty of light. So your aperture and your ISO are not quite as restricted. And there's questions in the flowchart that you can follow and you can understand. Okay, this is the order in which I need to think about my settings and how I need to set everything up. There's also exercises in the book as well that you can do either at the end when you finish reading the book, or you can do it as you're going through. And they, again, just doing those exercises just once or twice gives you the opportunity to try everything out in a controlled environment, and you can try it out as many different times in as many different places as you want until you understand what the light is doing, how your camera is affecting that light, and how the settings that you are using is changing that light as well. So if you want to buy it, as I said, go download it from my website. The ebook is $20, the hard copy is $50, and this is definitely something that I think you definitely will appreciate if you want to learn photography. If you're beginning, this is what you need to start with. All right, that is basically the wind up of what I've been doing throughout COVID. So I'd love to know what you guys have been up to as well. So leave me a comment below. And yeah, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're staying safe, and I hope you're excited to get back out in the world as things are starting to open up again. Cool. Thank you very much for watching this video. Goodbye.